Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video, and in today's video, I wanted to be covering dead zones specifically because I do get asked all the time, what are my dead zones? What dead zones should I run? So in this video, I wanted to make it really clear exactly which dead zone you guys should have on, and exactly how to find that perfect dead zone that you want to have. So I'm going to make it really clear exactly what dead zone you guys need to have on. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway for Fortnite Chapter 2. If you guys want to be entered in this giveaway, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, make sure you guys turn on my post notifications so you guys can get notified for every single new video, and as well, leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account, and you guys will be automatically entered into the giveaway. And real quick, if you guys want to support me as a creator in the item shop, my code is Young Humor. So if you guys want to support me, definitely put in my code. It helps me out a ton. I definitely appreciate it. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so here in this video, I wanted to be sharing with you guys the dead zones that I have, and also exactly how to pick the perfect dead zones for yourself. And that's really going to help you guys out the most, because dead zones can be an important part to this game. I get asked all the time, so I'm assuming a lot of you guys really do care about dead zones, or kind of confused exactly how they work and what dead zones they should be running. So I'm going to be covering everything you guys need to know in this video when it comes to dead zones and anything about it. So going into my settings, personally I play on the legacy settings. I will talk about linear in a second if you guys happen to play on that. But for my dead zones, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to pick the right dead zones right now. So dead zones, it's kind of like how much your analog sticks react when you move them. The lower your dead zone, the quicker they react, and the higher your dead zone, the more you have to move them for it to react. And as you guys see there, if you put it too low, what happens is you get stick drift, and that's really important to talk about in this video, because a lot of controllers eventually get stick drift. If you get a brand new controller, you're not going to have any stick drift at all, and you can have a very low dead zone. But if you had your controller for months or even years, one thing that can happen if you drop it too many times, you can get analog stick drift. Basically, if you guys don't know exactly what that is if you don't even touch your controller and it still drifts a little bit, I think what happens is the alignment gets a little bit off, or something along that in that nature. Something happens and it causes the stick to drift a little bit without you even touching it, which happens a lot with older controllers. If you had it for a certain amount of time, or you dropped it way too many times, stuff like that does happen. So when it comes to your dead zone, making sure you don't have stick drift is very important. So if you have a newer controller, definitely go with a lower dead zone. A little bit older controller, more stick drift, you want to go with that little bit higher dead zone. But when it comes to picking the perfect dead zone that you can have, what you want to do is you want to have the lowest dead zone possible without stick drift. So once you find that number, I recommend just raising it up one more, just in case, it might give you a little bit, because when it comes to stick drift, it's something you have to make sure that you press your analog stick in all directions to try to see if you might get stick drift with certain movements, because there is going to be certain or specific movements, and it really depends on the controller, that might cause it to get stick drift. It's not going to be something that you might notice right away, but eventually it is something, if you do certain type of movements, that you are going to notice very easily. So make sure you do try, move your analog stick in all directions, move it slow, move it quick, and see if you get any stick drift whatsoever, because that really is an important thing to try to figure out, the exact dead zone that you get that stick drift. And the reason why you want to have the lowest dead zones possible without having stick drift is because when it comes to your dead zone, this is basically your sensitivity for the analog stick, and you want to have it as low as possible. You want to have it as responsive as you can, because having a high dead zone is almost like input lag in a way. It's basically just an input lag on your analog stick, because you have to move it over more and more the higher your dead zone for it to register. So you always want to have it as low as possible without having any stick drift, and that's really the best dead zone for yourself. So when you guys ask me what dead zone that I use, what dead zone would I recommend, it really does depend on your controller, and also what dead zone you already do get stick drift at, because there's not really a one size fit all. But I would recommend having it as low as you can possibly get it. And a really good way to tell, and like I showed at the beginning, go to a little bit lower. I would recommend starting at 0.2. If you don't get any stick drift, maybe go a little bit lower, because I've talked to people with crazy high dead zones like 0.5, and I've also talked to people who had it less than 0.1, so less than 0.10, which is really, really low for a controller, because as you guys know, I feel like most people's controllers are a little bit older. It's not brand new, so they're going to have a little bit more stick drift than other players. So that's just something that you have to consider when you are choosing your dead zones. And so at the time of releasing this video, one day after, the Elite 2 controller is going to be coming out. It's the second version. There's a couple new features that come with it that are really, really cool. So as you guys know, I do play on Elite controller, but the Elite 2 is coming out. It's basically, it still has like almost all the same features, just has a little bit more upgrades in certain spots. So when it comes to Elite Controller 2, there's a few more grips. The trigger stops, you can have it more exact, really depending on the game you play, which is really cool, something that I like a lot. And I also like how the paddles are on the Elite Controller. Very easy to press compared to the Scuff, in my opinion. And that's really a make or break with the Scuff controller for me, is the Elite controller. It's so far easier to press the paddles, and anyone who has a Scuff and has had an Elite would probably agree with that. I don't know how you could possibly disagree and say the Scuff paddles are easy to press, because you really do have to smack them down, and I really didn't notice how bad it was at first until I had an Elite controller, and it's super easy to press. But for those guys who have a PS4, you're kind of stuck on just having the Scuff controller, kind of as the best company to do with. And there might be coming out with some new Scuff controllers that might be a little bit better with the paddles. I don't know. I haven't used Scuffed in at least a few years, but the people I've talked to who do have Scuff, it still is pretty hard for them to press the paddles down, and which really isn't a make or break except for the paddles that are on the inside. It's very, very difficult to press. But the point I was getting into when I talked about the new features, one of the really cool new features about the Elite 2 controller, and a big reason on why I'm getting it, is you can basically manually control your dead zone. So on the Elite 2 controller, so you have the thumbsticks, and what you can do is you can take off the thumbstick, and you have like a little key that you can use, and you can twist. So you take it off, and then you twist. I guess there's like a little thing the key fits in. You can twist the dead zone to have it more or less. So when it comes to my settings in the future with my dead zone, of course, on my controller, I basically going to have the dead zone the way I want it on my controller, because that's really, really good feature, because in Fortnite, of course, you can have the exact dead zone that you want, but games like Call of Duty, for me, I play a lot of Rocket League. For those guys who play the game is pretty fun to play, and there's a bunch of other games too, but for those games, it's really important that I have a really good dead zone for there, so that can really throw off my dead zone and the dead zone that I play on, because it might look like when I get the Elite 2 controller, I could be possibly raising my dead zone to 30 or 40, and for that reason is because I have my dead zone so low on my controller that a 30 in the settings for you guys is more like a 0.10 or maybe a 0.15. Because on the controller itself, you can manually adjust it, so you can have it really, really low. So in the game, you might have to raise it a little bit more to kind of compensate with the stick drift, and it's going to be very, very good. Because when I get the new controller, like I said, with new controllers, I don't think there's any stick drift whatsoever. So I'm going to be playing on a very, very low dead zone for at least a little while, until my controller starts to get a little bit of stick drift, which shouldn't happen for at least a couple months, and then I might have to raise my dead zone more and more. But at least at the beginning, my stick drift is going to be non-existent, so I'm going to play in a really low dead zone, which is really going to help when it comes to my accuracy and building and all that kind of good stuff, because I will in turn have more control over my analog stick. And when it comes to dead zone, it's a lot more important on the right stick than the left stick, because on the right analog stick, that's where you're doing all of your aiming, all of your building, all that good stuff. And your left stick really depends on your movement. You still want to have it as low as possible, but as far as importance, having a really good dead zone on your right analog stick is going to probably be the most important thing that you can have in terms of aiming and control in this game. So I hope this video helped you guys out a lot when it comes to choosing the right dead zone, what dead zone that I use, and also what dead zone I recommend to you guys, exactly how to find it and all that kind of good stuff. So I hope this video helped you guys out in that aspect, because I know I had a lot of you guys ask me about dead zone, what dead zone I use, all that in this, all that kind of good stuff. So I hope everything in this video cleared it up. And with that being said, that's wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.